was crying. And the way Aindra tells the story, of all the people he decided to come and tell this to, it was me. And I thought, because he decided to tell me this, that there must be some meaning to it. And I just got caught up in his emotion and I started crying also. And then he realized that he should start the 24-hour kirtan, and he gave up all of his ambitions to do anything else. And of course, we know the rest is history. But in terms of myself, when Aindra concluded his activities in New York City, I remember it was a very cold day in Columbus Circle. Right? Who's been to Columbus Circle with me? Columbus Circle? Okay. And he had his truck there, and he was telling me, that's it, I'm gone. And I was like, what? I thought we had a good thing going. And he said, well, you just come visit me. And up until that point, I was a collector. They saw, okay, this guy is good with the gift of gab. So they gave me like a $1,500 a week quota. The first time I came to India in 1984, I was sent for 3 weeks to the Mayapur Vrindavan festival. And I was told by a temple authority, whose name will go unmentioned, that you have to work doubly hard before and after to make up for the 3 weeks that you're gone. That's $4,500. So you're humble and submissive first time. But then the second time in 1986, I said, look, I'm collecting all this money all year long. I'm going to India every single year for 2 months. Take it or leave it. Oh, but we'll take it. We'll take it. You'll take it. So it was just my program to spend a lot of time with Aindra. And there was maybe 1 or 2 Indian devotees here at the time. Sarva Bhavana, who later wrote the translated Mana Shiksha and a couple other Bhaktivinoda Thakur books. I think he was friends with Bhakti Swami. They had gone to school in Germany. He's Indian. Very few. There was Purna Chandra, who was the head Pujari previous to Mukundadat. And he was very, very friendly with Aindra and the Western devotees. There wasn't any type of, distinction. You're a this and I'm a that. And it was a very happy time. Aindra was dressing Radhashama Sundar, if not every day, but at least 5 days a week. And I remember in 1990, I came and spent 4 months, January to May. And Aindra would bring me, Nitai, and Gopinath onto the altar. The Gopinath and Nitai, he just sent them out to climb trees and collect leaves and different types of flowers and whatever they could find. But I would help Aindra dress. I would, and just take off Radhashama Sundar's Mangalarti clothes, bathe them, put on the new day dress. And then Aindra would come on in due course of time, and I would assist him through the different things that he wanted. And I was the dresser for Lalita and Vishaka. And then all through the day and the afternoon, I would spend the time in Aindra's room, and he just wanted to hear books. And the only books really available, there were maybe 1 or 2 like Kushakrata books, Chaitanya Chandramrita translated at that time. So we were reading Ban Maharaj English translation, Hindi English, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time, Aindra was intensely questioning and probing all these questions about philosophical nuances. And he was trying to understand what is, how does the jiva have a relationship with Krishna, and what is the position of Radharani? And he was anguishing over these points. And then over the next few years, I believe he gave the date, Aindra, of 1994, where he had these questions sufficiently answered by Srila Prabhupada himself, by revelation, that everyone could see, just like if someone is like Dhruva Maharaj, he's touched by the conch shell of Krishna Garbha and he's completely transformed being. Night and day difference. At that point, from 1994 onwards, Aindra was just he just gave himself like flowing water. And you go up to Aindra's room, after Gore Artik, and he would speak to you for 4.5 hours nonstop. You know, you want to see like an advanced devotee, you make an appointment and time's up, but that's all there is. There ain't no more. But with Aindra, it would be the other thing. People would come up and they had certain thing they want to ask. Okay. But Aindra would keep giving them more and more. And he'd be like, oh, I gotta go. They're gonna lock the gate. My wife has called me. I'm not gonna be able to get out of the building. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, but just 5 minutes more. An hour goes by. And, you know, he just had so much realization. And within that, he had natural austerity. Aindra could go all day, all night without drinking water. We'd be like in the room with the doors closed. He didn't care that the air, you know, the oxygen level was completely out of this world, out of his body, you know. But at the same time, he was never like, I'm a great yogi, I'm a great, you know, performer of austerity. Who are you? You know, like that. He was just always very friendly. And he just wanted like friendship. He wanted like, kind of like his room was like where the whole gang hangs out. And I remember when he got Bhakti Stove in the month of January, his room was the most popular room in the whole Vrindavan because it's like, you know, 8 degrees outside and it's like, you know, 30 degrees in his room, you know. You come in, you're wearing like 5 or 6 layers and you take it all off and even your t-shirt was too much, you know, and you just...
Is it a wood stove?
Yes.
It's a wood stove.
It's an American wood stove that was brought over by devotees in stages and sections. And of course, this is a replica of this room, but in the original room, the chimney actually worked. And like every year, you know, like in November, when it's time to crank it up again, you'd have to climb up on the roof and clean out the pigeon nests and like get all of the different living entities out of there. There were bats and stuff, you know. And by the year 1999, my situation in America was such that it was more recommended or advantageous for me to live here and just return briefly to the United States. So I got my first 5-year visa in 1999. And those are some very wonderful years all the way through Aindra's departure. Come here for Kartik and stay until after Chandan Yatra, generally speaking. And had so many wonderful experiences going to Mayapur 6 years in a row. You know, I'm into vocabulary and expression. So when Aindra started writing his book, The Art of Transcendental Book Distribution, you know, you come upstairs at night or at, you know, or the afternoon, either or. Hey, Mom Roy, look what I wrote here. And he'd like run it by me. What do you think of this? He'd even ask me, do you think this is the right way to say it? Or should I say it this way? He had a saurus, which is different words expressing similar things, but with different nuances to it. And we would weigh them back and forth. And a lot of times he'd take my suggestion. Or other times he said, no, I think I'll stick with what I got. And, you know, he was writing, you know, and we all know that Aindra was the consummate perfectionist. He very reluctantly allowed live recordings of himself, you know, because devotees, and I actually did that for many years with like a Sony Walkman cassette player. I'd say from like, I started doing mini disc, but then when the technology advanced, I let other people do it. Say from like 1997 till 2004 or three or four, you know, try to record every night, every day.
2001, then that, you know, that
mini disc.
The mini disc.
Yeah, we were doing that also.
Yeah, so, yes.
But he said, all right, well, I guess everybody, I'll just, it's just consider it Aindra's schlock. There's the word schlock. So. But with his book, he was very meticulously fine-tuning it, expanding on it, adding on it, transforming it. And it would be like a funny thing. Aindra, is your book done? Says, yes, it's complete. And you come back, no, I got to do more. And they say, is the book complete? It's almost like a joke, you know, it must have like 25 times, you know, over the course of like 3 or 4 years. And then finally, and it was in 2009, he completed. And he said, the book is complete. I go, really? Are you sure? He goes, yes. Everything that I've thought of and considered and realized in my entire 37 years as a devotee. I've written in this book in its completeness to my full satisfaction. When he said that, in those words, I was like, wow. So that Aindra's book is a very valuable picture. It's non-different. In his own words, this book is me. Everything he wanted to say and to contribute is in this book. Now, Aindra, you have to live in Vrindavan as a true Brijbasi, and a real Brijbasi is the embodiment of Audarya compassion. Not that we retired Vrindavan. I don't want to have to deal with the world. I don't want to hear about Western people and their sinful activities. Leave me alone. I'm just doing my bhajan. But he made himself so much available to everyone. And some of the, let's say, most accomplished, experienced, and nuanced devotees in our movement, their service is devotee care, to take care of the devotees. You can preach to the non-devotees so much, but how much do you have capacity with your 2 eyes, your 2 ears, your nose, your senses, your lifespan? But if you empower others, and especially the younger, you should always be conscious of succession, the cyclic succession. We're in this material world of time and space. When's your birthday? What year were you born? But actually, we're all born on the same day. We all share the same birthday because we never came into being at any time. We'll never cease to exist. For the sake of Leela, you go, okay, Lalita Shasti, she's born on the Shasti day of the month of Bhadra, like that, but it's kind of like for show, because we're eternal. But we're in this world of repeated birth and death and making the best use of a bad bargain. And even more than that, doing the great devotional service as preachers. He who gave me eyes to see is my Lord, birth after birth. Right? Janmi Janmi Prabhu say, to continue the preaching mission. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord advents with his internal potential devotees to preach the Sankirtan movement and to relish the mellow of conjugal love. Only with them does the Lord relish this, and only with these devotees does he distribute it to the people in general. So Aindra understood these things very, very deeply, and he took it as his greatest service to his divine grace, or one of his most important services to his divine grace, to encourage, enthuse, caution, and protect Prabhupada's followers, to whatever extent his contemporary godbrothers would hear him, but the younger generation. Everything is in Prabhupada's movement. There's that wonderful recording of Prabhupada speaking on, I believe it's on Prabhupada's appearance day, 1997. And Aindra starts crying in the middle of preaching. And such told me that I should go and hear from such and such on the other side of town. And I had to say, but everything is here in my spiritual master's movement. Srila Prabhupada has died to give us the highest thing, but he's just trying to see who's sincere enough to want it. You can have all perfection at the feet of Srila Prabhupada, and his voice cracks, if you want it. And how many countless hours did we witness Aindra preaching to devotees, enthusing them, showing them not to be bewildered by any other entreaty to leave Prabhupada's movement. Now, we should always remember the example of Aindra Prabhu, his profound realization, his compassion, his soft-heartedness, his glorious friendship, which he readily gave to everyone, as an example that everything is in Prabhupada's movement. And of course, Aindra was, the real movement is beyond institutional rules and regulations. And at the same time, Aindra followed all the essential rules and regulations. He was strict with himself, strict with others, but also lenient at the same time. You remember the the Copen speech he gave in what was considered the American Room. I think that was 2009. You know, before we talk about anything more esoteric, first I want to know in this room who here is wearing Copens like that. And then Akishna Krishna tells me the story that a day or two after Aindra gave this heavy talk, Akishna Krishna reported to Aindra, you know, the boys that you preached that to, they're wearing Copens now, not boxer shorts or whatever. And I just went, really? They are? Oh, I didn't mean to be heavy. I said, no, that Aindra, yeah, he was completely submissive with the Brijabasis. The simplest and most, let's say, common, what we would consider extra, whether it be the rickshawwala or the shopkeeper, whatever price they would ask, he would give. He would, no argument, give all affection. Go to Radhakund and Mohan Panda. Oh, Radharani Kripa, Aindra Prabhu. Whatever he instructed him to do, Aindra would follow. And he loved the Brijabasis, and the Brijabasis in turn all loved Aindra. There was no class or race distinction. Everyone recognized Aindra for the great saint that he was. They loved him dearly. One time, Aindra, he looked at the ashram and he said, my spiritual master's ashram looks like an impersonal void. So it was at the time of year where Aindra performed a Panchamasprat. After the Kartik Purnima, what's it time to do? Katyayani Brat. So Katyayani Brat was to go every day to the Katyayani Mandir, which means you have to, before there were all these blockades, you take the rickshaw all the way down to Anaj Mandi, you make a right, you go all the way through Anaj Mandi, you go past the police station and the post office, and you're into Katyayani Mandir. And, you know, he would attend try to be there for the noon artik. The Mahant there, he passed away a few years ago, of Katyayani Mandir. You know, they're worshiping Durga, they're Shivites. But he really loved Aindra. And he confided in Aindra one time, you know, people come there with their children or get married and, you know, whatever. It's like Durga worshippers. And he just went to Aindra and said, oh, this is just material. The real thing is Krishna Bhakti. You know, the guru of the place admitted that, you know. So passing through Anaj Mandi, then Aindra is, let's say, I'm going to do something and do electrical work and whatever. He'd like stop here and do this, fix this for the ashram. And then there was this lamination photo, you know, like artwork shop. Maybe it's still there. And that's where Aindra got the idea to decorate the entire ashram. And he meticulously chose each one. And I remember the night that they were all ready, they all came on this very serene night in, I believe it was December, on a purely white bullock cart. All of those beautiful paintings that decorated the whole ashram and all the walls and hallways. Was any of that saved?
Yes, many of them.
Many of us have them in storage?
In the ashram.
Okay, good.
Some,
Very
I'm
nice.
sure it want to go to space.
Very nice. Yeah, ultimately one day they can be, you know. And then, you know, and he made the bunk beds with the fans and electrical outlets for the 24-hour kirtan. And then what happened? The pujaris and the cooks, hey, what about us? We're just sleeping on the cement floor. So what did Aindra do? He went and built their rooms too. You know, I come upstairs one time and Aindra's on this ladder. He's wearing goggles. And he's like, it's like a soldering or like, what is it? Welding and or like a buzz saw and all this dust and the sawdust is flying on him. And Aindra never shied away from quote unquote dirty work, you know. He was like the first one there, you know, had no like airs about himself. In the most exalted position, but he had the most humble estimation of himself. That is very symptomatic to It's like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai, lower than the worms in the stool. One who hears my name loses the results of all his pious activities. He's prefacing that for the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he was just unanimously elected and thrust by all the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan. What had he just done previously? He had rendered the king of all Astakaliya Leela books, the Govinda Leelamrita. So Prabhupada says the Vaishnava, he actually thinks like this about himself, but such a personality who can render such incredible literature is our esteemed master. So that is the incredible contradiction, or like very hard, inconceivable thing to figure out, that is symptomatic of a pure devotee, and Aindra exhibited that to the supreme degree. Anyway, Aindra's astrology or palmistry is going to live to be 82 years old. That means we would have gotten the last 16 years plus 9. Aindra would be with us until 2035. Who thinks that that would have changed the world and your life for the better? Raise their hand.
Of course.
Right. So, and I personally was thinking, okay, I got my 5-year visa, and, I can stay here, and if we're going to live our whole life, we're going to grow old together, and it's all going to be beautiful. So then Aindra leaves the way that he does. We can say so many things about that, but ultimately Aindra wanted to go back home, back to Godhead, and he had completed whatever austerity or penance or whatever, say you have to complete your business in this life. He had completed it by unlimited multiplications over and over again. There was nothing to keep him here. And as he said, I'm going back to dance with Radhashama Sundar and with Krishna in the Rasa dance. I'll see you when you get there. So it's very, very encouraging to me to see so many devotees. And as we took a inventory, we'd never met Aindra, and there's so much enthused to continue his legacy, to continue his seva. We've been trying for, I don't know if there's a parallel, but maybe I could be considered, without New York Harinam, could be considered in the same category as 14 years banishment to the Dandakaranya forest, or 14 years exile, incognito, the Pandavas. It's something about 14 years. And just trying to keep it going, not 24 hours a day, but daily. We're at 6 hours for many years now. We're just trying to maintain 4 hours. And you know how difficult it is. So here we are now, nearly 16 years since Aindra's departure, and we're about to complete in 7 months' time 40 complete years, 24-hour kirtan. How amazing that is. And I would encourage everyone here not to get discouraged by the urban encroachment. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah.
All the heavy, just to walk in the street, you're taking your life in your hands. Are these people driving these motorcycles like crazy people, and the rickshaws and the cars? There's a video of Kormarupa that was put together after he departed, called "Keeping My End of the Bargain." He was going to be drafted, Kormarupa, into the Vietnam War. He actually was drafted into the army. He was praying to God. He didn't know there was a Krishna conscious movement. If you save me from going to do active duty on the front lines of Vietnam, which was more or less a death sentence, I will dedicate my life to you. So whatever, I think he was more qualified to do something stateside or whatever, and he didn't go. And then when he met the devotees, the Krishna consciousness movement, later, he realized, this is God reminding me and revealing himself to me. He said, I'm going to keep my side of the bargain. And he joined the Krishna consciousness movement. When I joined the movement in 1978, I walked into the New York Temple at 55th Street. The GBC at the time, Adi Keshava Swami, had moved Niranjana Das Brahmachari, now the great Niranjana Swami, who just celebrated his 26th birthday. Who here is younger than 26 or 26? Anyway, so Raja Swami was once 26 years old, if you can imagine something like that. You know, so he was the Bhakta leader, and in those days, it wasn't like in your own way, take your time. Let me see your ID. Let me do a background check. Are you wanted for a crime? Are you in the child offender database or anything like that? That's what they do now, by the way. You know, just take your time. Maybe you come to the temple like once a week, and we'll observe you. But it was just to me, just move in, right then and there. And the very day they put saffron on me, it was not like I'm, wear white for 2 or 3 years and, whatever, and then you have to have a formal beheaded, the brahmachari. Anyway, I'm not saying whatever, but that was just the situation then. But I had like a quick 3-week training with Niranjan Swami. And then the program was to go to Hartford, Connecticut, where it was a combination bhakti training, book distribution, brahmachari, preaching center, and in charge was the glorious Rama Prabhu. And the 5 months I spent with him were the most nourishing and most beautiful 5 months of my whole spiritual life when I really needed it. And I remember him to this day. So anyway, I'm saying all this about Korn Rupa. So in this video, he's saying, in Vrindavan, it used to be holy cow. But now, holy cow has been replaced with holy car. He said the number one danger to cows now in Vrindavan are motor vehicles. So anyway, it's bringing more people here. The real estate greedy barons are like snatching up this. And then I just saw some pop-up ad. They know I'm in India, your algorithm. They want to build a Krishna Bhumi arcade, like a 4-story shopping mall in between here, like Gautam Muni Ashram and Bunky Bihari, and with AI generated images and like beautiful classical Indian flute music, luring you into the idea that this is the supreme peace in Shangri-La. There's no monkeys, there's no barking dogs, there's no, it's just, but like, my goodness, So in 6 years since I've been here last, I'm just like I haven't even discovered the extent of how crazy it is. I did my Lowy Bazaar yesterday when got my dhoti, my kurta, fixed my japa beads. I had a crown that I had re-welded. I'm done. I don't have to go there again. But it was like, oh my goodness, So what's this place going to be like in years to come? But the point is, the temple remains, and everyone is coming for kirtan. What is it? We have the triangle here. Prem Mandir, ISKCON, Bunky Bihari. Or go to Bunky Bihari first. When you get out of town, stop by the ISKCON for the evening arti. You can see Prem Mandir at the end, And, the people are interviewed. They're asked, so, where are you coming today? Oh, we're just coming to ISKCON. Have you been to Prem Mandir? Yeah, we went there once or twice, but, we've seen it. Been there, seen it, and done it. That's it, So we just want to go to ISKCON for the kirtan. And Vidyavadu Jivanam, it is the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge. Andrew loved this quote from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur. Of all that is to be taught and all that is to be learned, the congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all knowledge and realization. And you are all continuing. You're like the earthly mouthpieces for Aindra. It's like we glorify the spiritual master in his prayer. Bhutale, on this earth. What does, we can chant Guru Astakam, Nikunja Yuno Rati Keli Sidaye Yayali Bir Yuktir Pekshani Tatrati Dakshat Ati Vallabhasya. But he's also delivering the materially afflicted world by bringing the ocean of mercy, just like a cloud brings the water from the ocean and goes over the parched land and puts out the blazing fire of material existence. And what to speak of Mahaprabhu, Kirtana Vichagita, Vadichamaja, and Manasa Rasena. So, and I was just quoting that from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, those conjugal, the Lord's Madhurya Bhaktas, they come into this world as the Sankirtan devotees who assist Lord Chaitanya in distributing the holy name to the people in general. That's what they do. So if you really want to be a Gopi Manjari, or anything in the category of service to the divine couple, this is what you do. You distribute Krishna consciousness to the people in general. That's what this human body is meant for. What do we say? Oh Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance, and the senses are a network of paths leading unto death. If you don't engage in what this body is meant for, the Sankirtan mood of Lord Chaitanya, you're just going to be directed to activities that lead to your death and rebirth. The body is meant for sense gratification. But use this same body on this earth. Oh, obeisances to you, oh spiritual master, who so kindly preaching the message of Lord Sri Chaitanya Dev and are delivering these Western countries, which now includes India, from impersonalism and voidism. That's the gateway. You'll get there. And I just showed how to do it. In one of his later talks, he said, I'm just as fallen as anybody else. I'm nobody special. But enough Sumedasa has entered into my brain to realize that it is Kali Yuga. Does anybody have any doubt? Is this Kali Yuga that we're in? Is it another time? And that I'm a Kali Yuga creature. And that there's only one Dharma for this Kali Yuga. So that the Yuga Dharma does not change. And it's not that the Yuga Dharma is for me, or it's for you, but it's not for me. I have another way to do it. So maybe some will slip in the back door, but don't count on it. Take the main way, that famous Varshana speech. Everyone familiar with that? I would say of everything that's been driving me and motivating me ever since Aindra's departure, it is that 17-minute speech at Varshana in March of 2009. You were present. I was present. Amla Purana, Prashant. Oh, so Aindra's in Baltimore, and he's taking care of Nitai Gaurasunder, everything. And there was a Gurukul in Baltimore, right? So later, some of the most illustrious alumni of the Baltimore Gurukul became some of Aindra's best and most loyal and accomplished and adept helpers, such as Vrindavan Das, who Aindra said was one of his best Mridanga players. Amala Harinam went to that Gurukul. Prashant grew up in Baltimore. So the realization was that Nitai Gaurasunder, Aindra, you took care of us. Now we're going to take care of you. Pretty cool, huh? Please remember, and I beseech you again and again, please remember, worldwide grassroots Harinam Sankirtan revolution. Revolution means revolution. We have to turn this movement inside out, upside down, do whatever it takes to put Harinam Sankirtan back into its rightful place of dignity in the forefront of this Krishna consciousness movement. It's absolutely essential for the proper growth of this movement. Otherwise, you'll get a deformed child. A deformed child comes from undernourishment. You have to feed the child. And it means proper diet and proper frequency, not just a couple of schnick, rom-roms on the side. That's not going to get you back home, back to Godhead. It might take 700 lifetimes to get home back to Godhead in that way. But in Kali Yuga, you got to get fired up, right? Every one of you chanting and dancing from the heart, that you can even think, you can even hope to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. It's not a joke. It's the real thing. Do Harinam Sankirtan on the streets of all the cities of the world every day for as many hours a day as possible, and you'll get there. I guarantee it. Not that I guarantee it. All our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, guarantee it. It's the right thing to do. Then later, it's a group. They were going to see Manadi Swami, and they were going to return. It was the Gorpanim festival. So tomorrow, you're coming back to Vrindavan. I would like to say that during we have 24-hour kirtan. You're always welcome to come join the kirtan. we have, and the way he said this was like, we have 24-hour kirtan going on in the temple anyway, every day. Like, it's not a big deal, you know. But during the so-called festival, I will come from my regular slot and I will be back on from 8:30 to 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, for as long as the festival continues. He said, but for me, the festival never ends. In Vrindavan, every day is a festival. That's what Radhe Shyam want for you. If you're chanting and dancing in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, it simply means that you have understood the philosophy. And if you're not chanting and dancing in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, it simply means you haven't understood the philosophy. Hari Bol. And Aindra would say that the success of your kirtan is that you get people to get up and dance. Sometimes, like even I'm criticized, just sitting there like Babaji's. We have to get up and dance, you know? But Shyam Manohar knows I'm on my feet the whole time. I'm like Lord Brahma, like my head is spinning 180 degrees, 360 degrees around, looking and observing everything. And we're directing the book distribution, trying to see who's favorable, bringing that. But like people really like dancing. They really get into it. So you get people to dance. It's really, really good. So, any questions or comments?
I have a question. Thank you so much.
You might have to speak a little louder.
No.
Because
Thank you so much for your wonderful experience about Aindra Prabhu. I just want to ask your opinion about, like, we are serving kirtans for our Kirtan Vrindavan. Like, what do you think? Is it necessary sometimes to go and do like Nagar Sankirtan in other countries and cities, or is it okay just we are like staying all the time here and do like, because this place also needs like so much efforts to go on nicely, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
Well, I mean, that would be an individual ascertainment. Certainly, we're not all the same. Vrindavan is not an easy place to stay seasonally. Very harsh winter. I found it. I lived here at the time before. They just had the desert cooler, the air cooler, and then the generator doesn't always work. So, like, I remember sleeping on the roof of the Gurukul building, and you have to keep a bucket with the wet gumsha in it. You put the gumsha on top of you, and after an hour and a half, it's dry, and then you have to re-wet it. And, you know, maybe after you pass the age of 60, that might not be such an easy thing to do, you know, as opposed to when you're 25 or 30 years old, but it's a great adventure. You know, your body's tough. You know, Aindra went through so much physical suffering. You got prickly heat, you got hives, and just the air pollution here was just, here's a good inspiration to stay in the temple, because you go outside, all that dust from all the vehicles, you're breathing it all in, and just, you know, whatever, you know, animal stool or whatever garbage in the street is mixed in with that dust, you're breathing it in. I personally would never drink like a sugarcane juice or juice from the street. You know, it's just like, you gotta be very careful. You get dysentery, you get malaria. Some people can take it, others can't. You know, to the point where our health becomes affected and our enthusiasm is diminished. But at the same time, or along with that, the devotees are trying to spread the Sankirtan movement in other places around the world. And a little variety is good, you know. So living in Vrindavan full time it's not easy. The way that Prabhupada set up Vrindavan and Mayapur in general was that devotees should expand the movement worldwide and come here regularly to get recharged, purified, and get inspiration. I mean, at the same time, this is now one of the topmost preaching places in the whole ISKCON world. So I might give a suggestion that while remaining here, maintaining your service to the 24-hour kirtan, maybe take some time to preach or give your association to the people who come to the temple. Even you can't distribute books, it's difficult. People, oh, how are you? Where are you from? And how you doing? And welcome. And oh, have you ever read the Bhagavad Gita? What is that? Here's the Bhagavad Gita. Something. People just walk in here, they take their picture and buy a sweet and a samosa and get pushed by the crowd and they go out the door. But if they get devotee association and experience the kindness and friendship and genuine concern in a devotee, it might be the thing that turns their life. It just turns them from just a pious Hindu into like an actual devotee of Krishna following Srila Prabhupada. So in that way, all of the thing, bringing more people to more of a preaching opportunity. So it's not like you come to Vrindavan to have peaceful seclusion and just concentrating on my bhajan. It's just, you should see it as a preaching opportunity. How's that for an answer? We don't know each other so deeply, so I can't really address your deeply heartfelt individual feeling on the subject, but some general idea, different angles of vision. Decide.
So my question is that, like, when one is dancing and chanting, what if one's not having any taste for it? Like, I used to have taste, but like since quite a long time, I've not been having any taste. But still, I'm dancing and chanting. So should I keep on continuing that, or there is some things to get fixed?
How is your japa?
Yes, 16. Maybe.
Could you chant early in the morning?
No.
That's a good one. Most people who maintain their enthusiasm, they get up and they'll have their rounds chanted at least by greeting the deities. And if you really want to be like, have most, if not all your rounds chanted by Mangalarti, and you'll feel the difference, guaranteed. And at the same time, don't think that this chanting and dancing won't lead to the desired success. It will. And Aindra had a 4-word purport to it. Those 4 words. If you do it. So don't stop. Gargamuni, who's living here now still, he didn't want to bow down at 26 2nd Avenue. And other devotees started bowing down to Prabhupada. And he said, Swamiji, I see everybody bowing down, but I don't really feel I want to bow down because I don't feel it. And I don't want to do anything artificial. I want to be real in my relationship with you. Is that all right? This is Brahmananda telling the story. And Prabhupada said, you should bow down. And by bowing down, the feeling will come. So he followed that. Brahman said, and Prabhupada was right. The feeling did come. Imagine saying that to such a personality as Srila Prabhupada. So it's a function of sadhana bhakti. You don't feel like doing it, but it's happiness in the mode of goodness. In the beginning, it's not very pleasurable, but in the end, it's just like nectar. Whereas happiness in the mode of passion, in the beginning, it seems like, wow, this is great. But in the end, or pretty quickly, it turns to poison. It becomes disgusting. So we should always strive for the mode of goodness. But that's, from my own experience, if there's any trouble in your spiritual life, get your japa together. Imagine coming in with all your rounds chanted and what to speak of more, and seeing the beautiful lotus faces of the deities first thing in the morning at the Brahma Muhurta hour. It'll definitely elevate you and just keep your consciousness transcendental the whole day. Guaranteed. Anything else?
Prabhu, I had this question. Whenever I discuss about kirtan, so many times people from other places or devotees from other places say that Sankirtan also means chanting japa with everybody. So if you're chanting japa with everybody, that's Sankirtan. So you're doing what's necessary. At the same time, even book distribution is Sankirtan, even cleaning the temple is Sankirtan. Everything is Sankirtan. So why do you just want to sit there and do kirtan? And if it was so important, why did Aindra Prabhu in the end chant hundreds of rounds and he did not, spend 12 hours, 14 hours even in the end while doing the kirtans?
What was the last part? Why did he not spend 12 hours?
Or 14 hours in the last ends of his life doing kirtans? Why did he chant hundreds of rounds every day?
Okay, that there's various handles to climb up on the summit of that question and point and put my flag and say, I hereby claim this mountain for the righteous cause of Shri Shri Radhashama Sundar. So let me attempt to conquer all of that. The first verse of Lord Chaitanya's Shastastika movement. All glories to the chanting of the holy name, which does what? Awakens all varieties of devotional service. Now, if you chant good rounds, will you be able to do all these other services nicely? Yes. You agree? Now, if you don't chant good rounds or don't chant rounds at all, I'm going to clean the temple. I'm going to wash the pots. I'm going to mop the shoe room. What else should we do? We should do all these different things. And if there's time at the end of the day, I'll chant my rounds. Do you think your consciousness will just kind of collapse? That's why Sankirtan, because nobody's chanting rounds out there and nobody's following Sadhana Bhakti. So the whole consciousness of the world is Prabhupada 5 days before landing in the United States. My dear brothers, I emphatically say unto you, you will only achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. And what is the very next thing Prabhupada says after that incredible statement, emphatically clarifying that the mercy of Radharani is supreme and exclusive and must be achieved? Turns to his spiritual master, who he sees as the full embodiment and representation of her supreme majesty. Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at various places around the world. I experienced the tail end of the comet when I joined, but the devotees who joined this Krishna consciousness movement in Prabhupada's presence, especially in the early days, they were just lifted so high and felt such ecstatic prema bhakti emanating from the heart of Prabhupada, and gave all credit to his spiritual master, intense devotion to Krishna. By his strong desire, the holy name of Krishna will spread throughout the entire world. From the mountains to the seas, everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental mercy will certainly inundate the land. When all the poor, fallen, sinful living entities are made happy, then, and only then, the Vaishnav's desire is fulfilled. Although I have no knowledge and no clarification, I've been designated as Bhaktivedanta. And now you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. So Sankirtan is supreme, and it's the source of all other devotional service. There is no devotional service without the chanting of the holy name in this age of Kali Yuga, especially. What was the other part of the question?
In this only they say that everything is Sankirtan. When you're chanting with everyone, Japa also, even that is Sankirtan. So just going on a harmonium and or a mridanga.
Yes, it's that all devotional service is devotional service, but there's difference. I hope what I just said makes that abundantly clear.
And the next question was in this, if
yeah, the same thing, Aindra talks about it, carved candle Sankirtan, Santa Claus kirtan. I dressed up as a Cookie Monster, with a Cookie Monster, blue shag carpet, and you wear like a thing. I walk into one lady's shop. Where do I put the money, Cookie? Do I put it in your mouth? You don't have any pockets, That's Sankirtan. That's just, it's just collecting money. And the result of doing that, devotees were sent out from the Brooklyn Temple dressed up as clowns. Clown, like a funny nose, like in the circus. Collected huge amount of money, vast amounts of money. It led to poverty, scarcity, fall down, misery, and just plain depression. That's what it led to. Just like the materialists. Everything is centered on collecting money. It destroys them. consumes them. Finished. Don't worry about money. Do something nice for Krishna. Aindra had the same experience, I have the same experience trying to do what I'm doing in New York. I don't worry about money. Money comes. Money is Lakshmi Devi. Radharani wants to see her beloved Lord glorified. What does Prabhupada say? What is the number one symptom of the pure devotee, of one who loves Krishna? That he wants to see his Lord's name and fame spread like wildfire. This is nonsense. Whatever saying like this is just like colossal speculation. You know, I've seen practically how that type of philosophy just leads to just something quite undesirable. This is my godbrother, Nitai. Does everybody know Nitai? He's from Gurgaon. Right? Okay. He's a great champion and supporter of pure devotional service on all levels.
Yes.
He's very much responsible for seeing the many, many books of Satguru Das Goswami, who's our initiating spiritual master, being reprinted and also distributed here in India to many people who don't know that they really want to read these books. Anything else?
Any other question? What your message to the ashram devotees would be?
Message?
Yes, so the thing
I
is,
didn't message you enough?
No. Some discrete
Message, okay, let's take that a minute.
As just when Rajkesha asked, you just said that the time was there when we used to wear the gamchas and used to sleep like that.
Oh,
Nowadays, ashram life is quite a kind of a 5-star ashram life. All the apartment in the rooms are air conditioned enough. In the winters, the heated enough,
yeah.
and nice bathrooms. I do remember when I used to come to Krishnalam temple in starting of, you can say, end of 90s. So that time, toilets used to be horrible. Aindra Prabhu himself used to go and clean the toilets. I do remember that time. And now it's like there are labors and everything. I mean, everything is just on the platter. So
Tell how Aindra was the greatest GBC. Tell us.
you tell that you are more appropriate person.
Who here has the experience of wanting to join the kirtan party, and along with being tested if you can play the cartels in different beats, that you would have to agree to clean the bathroom? And Aindra would personally bring you in there and show you how to do it, and he would say, "I am aspiring to be a GBC, a good bathroom cleaner." No, I just that was an additional.
Yeah, so I just completed. So your message to all of us.
In the third chapter of the Adi Leela of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is describing the external reasons for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, the chapter is concluding by describing Advaita Acharya calling the Lord Chaitanya to descend. And Kaviraj Goswami is concluding the chapter by saying, "Of all a man may sacrifice, his wealth, his words, his reputation, sacrifice for the Sankirtan movement is the most glorious. One who does so is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others, by comparison, are considered to be foolish, because nothing can compare to a sacrifice for the Sankirtan movement." And then Kaviraj Goswami says, "One who thinks that 10 million Ashvamedha yagnas performed at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna is equal to one Sankirtan performance is a Pashandi, an atheist, and is fit to be punished by Yamaraj." Wow. So, what is the 6th verse of Sad Goswami Astakam? Sankhya Purvaka Namagana Nadivi, by numerical strength. So you can take great personal satisfaction every single day of your life that you add, is it one more day for Krishna means one less day for Maya. So Prabhupada said, give your life to Krishna and see what happens. Actually, I was hearing one lecture and Prabhupada said, we engage gambling. We say no gambling, but we're asking you to gamble. You don't know what will be the result. But take my word for it. Give this life to Krishna and you will not be the loser. And you can feel it tangibly. And especially, we don't, it's not in our control who's going to join, who's not going to join, or what happens. A lot of times we won't even know the result. If so many people pass by and what's going to become of their life, this and that. I keep in mind, especially in New York City, where people are arguably not as pious or advanced as they are here, coming into the walls of Krishna Bharam Mandir, Radha Kripa Kataksha Stavaraj, verse 11, Kriyeshvri, Kaneshvri, Pramoda Kananeshvri, Vijati Peshi, Radhike, Namostate, that she's the one and only authority who regulates our entrances to Sri Vrindavan Dham. Okay, they come here, the boys and girls, they're holding hands and whatever, they're dressed inappropriately. But Radharani has let them come here for one reason or the other. So our job is not finished. Who here has read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakamar's ascension, to regain his position as Svarupa, the intimate coward boyfriend of Krishna, and Krishna's such happiness. My dear friend, you've been gone for so long. I've been waiting to see you again. Krishna embracing that person. Krishna has that feeling for every spirit soul. My dear Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya, how will all these malechas and yavanas be delivered? I do not see any way. My dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. And the answer is the loud chanting of the holy name. What does Bhaktivinoda Thakur said? The loud chanting of the holy name is the essence of all religion. It's the ultimate sign of compassion. Premanam Kirtan. What was I saying before Bhaktivinoda Thakur? I had a thought, but I lost it. Before the quote about Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Haridas Thakur.
Huh?
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur, right. Do not be in anxiety. Prabhupada writes, this is service. The devotee tries to console the Lord for the anxiety that he feels for the lost souls who are as good to him as Gopakumar. And we have the bullseye epicenter right back home, right to where everybody really wants to be. Not like, what did Narada Muni tell to Vyasadeva? Anything you desire to describe separate from understanding the personality of God, it simply acts like a whirlwind to a boat without a rudder at sea to just like drag you all over the place. Now think of that imagery. If you're alone in the middle of the vast ocean, you don't know where there's land, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're on a boat being tossed all over the place, you have no rudder, no way to steer yourself or get out of this horrible mess, how much fearfulness that must be. That's this material world. That's what these people are lost in. But we immediately can airlift them, not only to like some lifeboat where they're gonna like a floundering fish on the like the Carpathia, taking everybody to the North Atlantic Ocean after the Titanic sank, and they're freezing to death, the hypothermia, but like pick them up immediately and bring them to the supreme paradise without any further question or worry about where they're going. We have that power to do that by being the follower of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's pure parampara. And we don't do that. We don't sacrifice our life for that. What else could we possibly think that we have going on that could be better than that? We're going to enjoy the rubbing together of two things and scratch an itch in this material world. That's going to be our pleasure. It's ridiculous. So my message to everybody is that what do we say every day? What is the number one symptom of a Vaishnava? They are full of what? For the fallen conditioned souls. Kripas, and full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. And our compassion, I'm not giving 200 rupees to somebody who, like, and there was one person I gave 200 rupees to. He had like, was in front of the MVT yesterday. He had like no hands, and he was like, and then the person I was with, make sure you don't go buy liquor in the liquor shop with that, But all right, whatever. He's suffering and laying in the street. But the real thing is to, Prabhupada tells the story of the child left stranded alone in a well, and somebody comes, oh, my dear boy, you're all alone. Let me bring you into the Hudson News shop in the Port Authority bus terminal and get you a ham sandwich and a Hulk comic book for you to read and maybe a Milky Way candy bar. Okay, just looking at you, kids. See you later, right? Where's the first thing you see, like a 4 or 5-year-old kid stranded, crying alone? Where's the mother? Where's the father? Where's the guardian? There isn't one. Bring him to the police, right? Whereas the first person would be like written up in the, in like the lower class newspaper, like the New York Post. What a ridiculous idiot! Look what he did, fool, rascal. So any type of charity separate from bringing people all the way back home, back to Godhead, is just on that level of nincompoopism. It's ridiculous. So keep that compassion here. And like I said, our job is not complete until everybody goes back home, back to Godhead, like Gopa Kumar goes back home, back to Godhead. So the people coming here are more advanced per se, by Radharani's grace, allowing them to come to Sri Vrindavan Dham. We know the glory and potency of this supreme abode, and we worship it as the dearmost treasured object of our lives and heart. I'll say from my own experience, no matter what happens, this is actually a saying I've had all my life. I just remembered it. No matter what happens anywhere, everywhere, no matter what circumstance you find yourself in, you should always think, how does this compare to my best experience of life in Sri Vrindavan Dham? And then you'll have your answer how to proceed. What is that? Having crossed through this situation, all situations, one who remembers the lotus-fied Lord is freed from all. I think there's something in our initiation ceremony. It's one verse like that. Yeah. So we should value Vrindavan, and maybe sometimes to leave Vrindavan to help other preaching efforts might help us to more appreciate Vrindavan and not take it in a familiar way. I lived my life kind of like that, coming and going.
Yes, Pundarikaksha.
Huh?
Yes, Pundarikaksha Sabhaya Ventrashuji, that one?
Yeah. What's the proper English translation of that? Pundarikaksha.
Yeah, Pundarikaksha. Yes, lotus side.
Whether having passed through this situation or that situation, all situations, one or the other,
pure,
lotus side Lord. And if anybody wants to come and experience some New York mellows, one devotee came up to me. Where were we? In Mayapur, I was leading a kirtan. Prabhu, oh, thank you. You made me feel like I was in New York City. I didn't know whether to thank him or what to say. This is Kana and Sachi Sutta, two brothers. Their biological father was a high school associate of mine, and I'm very happy to see them as very strong and powerful adults in Krishna consciousness movement, contributing very wonderful things. They were raised by their glorious mother, Hari Priya, who went to shared no expense and no austerity she would not undertake for her sons. So good to see you guys. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we are very, very grateful to Rama Raya Prabhu for his time. I mean, he's here until only 1st of
Yeah, they got.
March.
I relied on other devotees to buy me a ticket and a visa, and I thought they were going to give me a 6 month. They only got me a 30-day visa.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I've never been to Mayapur and I could come back like on a boomerang, but I don't know. But I'm going to try to come much more often.
Yeah, I was hoping that
Not once a year, twice a year.
16th of March is Aindra Prabhu's appearance day. And your 16th of March.
Monday the 16th.
Yeah, Monday the 16th
Okay.
is Aindra Prabhu's appearance day. And if you would have been here with us, that would really something, a good experience.
Where do you observe it these days?
It's on the Prasadam Hall, it's Krishna Prasadam Hall, bigger one.
They section it off, or do they?
Yeah, so they put some section and
I see.
it's nice arrangement actually.
This is my first time seeing the room here. Of course, I could have come when the move was, but I didn't. I just didn't. I couldn't do it. It would be too
Yeah, of
painful for me. But now seeing this now, it's now like 2 years,
More than 2 years.
more than 2 years. It's very nice. Giridhar Lal is doing a wonderful job, and this is the epicenter of the 24-hour kirtan, and everyone can be concerned, and trying to deities in their upkeep. It's so wonderful. 16 years after his departure, and they're in their exact place, and they're being worshipped in the same way and the same mercy. I'm sure Aindra would be very, very pleased. There was some discussion what will happen to his deities. There's a recording of it, and Aindra said, I'll be gone. It won't be in my hands to control it. So no matter what happens, I mean, even this structure is not forever. We should be very vigilant and determined to protect Aindra's deities from any kind of idea or direction different than what Aindra would have wanted for his deities. So that I would say is also important responsibility.
Thank you so very much
Hare
for the
Krishna.
inspiration.
All rise to
Let's everyone
Sripad
chant
Aindra.
together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Sachit Bhagavan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Sripad Aindra Prabhu ki, Rama Raya Prabhu ki.